What do you do when you can't seem to figure out what to do creatively?
If it fits!
Hey everybody, I'm Chris Fitz, and I've been in a little bit of a creative rut this week. I had a very hard time figuring out what I was going to be talking about in this video, and there were some other things that I had started that I just couldn't get excited about until last night, but we're going to get to that because today I want to share with you a little bit about what I do when I get stuck creatively. Number one, the first thing to do, and the first thing you should do, and the first thing you kind of have to do is recognize that you are in one. Chris, how am I not going to recognize that I'm in a rut? Well, snarky YouTube viewer, I guess a better way to say it would be to recognize why you're in the rut. I am not someone that believes that creativity is from divine inspiration. I don't think it just comes to you out of the blue. I think that it comes from a lot of hard, thoughtful work. I will concede that sometimes the best ideas come from when you are not actively trying to come up with them. But I don't think that those ideas ever come to you if you didn't do the work beforehand and let those ideas gestate and marinate. So when you get in these dry spells, it isn't just some kind of cosmic blockage that you need to get unstuck. I always think that there is some kind of underlying reason why. Maybe it's fatigue, maybe you have too many distractions. For me this week, I think a lot of it had to do with being overwhelmed by how much I wanted to accomplish, and I was setting goals for myself that were a little too big and broad, and I wasn't breaking it down into manageable chunks. There are ways to deal with all of those things, but you're never going to find a solution to the problem if you don't pinpoint the actual problem. I feel like I talk about this a lot, but that is why I think you should always be checking in on yourself and getting a read on exactly how you're feeling. Journaling, meditation, whatever it is for you. So much creative work relies on what goes on up here in your noggin that you should just check in with it, see how it's doing, you know? You don't call, you don't write, give it a little love. The second thing I do is get organized. And I understand that this one isn't going to be for everyone. I understand that, and I'm totally an advocate for doing whatever works for you. Some people feel like they need to be loose and unstructured to be creative. Not me. For example, if I don't sit down at the end of the day and think about what I need to accomplish the next day, my entire next day is shot. Even if everything I had planned changes, I find it harder to adapt to the changes if I didn't sit down the night before and map out what I want my day to look like. So if you're finding yourself stuck, and you don't already, sit down at the end of the night and write down the single most important thing that you need to accomplish that day. And then, once that's finished, write down the second most important thing that you want to accomplish that day. And then keep doing that until you have 5 things that you want to accomplish the next day. Do those things in that order, starting with the most important thing, not starting the next important thing until you've completed the one following it, this one. Until you've completed the one before it. Also, just try cleaning up your workspace. I personally work better without a lot of clutter. Try it. Just try it, okay? You're stuck. What do you have to lose? The third thing is exercise. You should be exercising anyway. I prefer to go for a run. I prefer to do it early in the morning before I even start my day. I find that that helps me a lot. But even just going for a walk in the middle of the day will help. And honestly, this one's kind of a no-brainer. There are so many studies showing that physical activity is linked to all the good things that happen in life, so you should just do it. If you're not doing it, stop not doing it and do it. You should just exercise. And the fourth thing I do is sheer brute force, and this is what got me through this week. Last night, we put our son to bed. It was around 8 p.m. I was tired. I was exhausted. I just wanted to sit on the couch and fall asleep. I was overwhelmed by how much that I wanted to get done, and I knew that I wasn't going to finish anything 100% that night, right? So it was so easy just to rationalize it to myself, like, what's the point? You're not going to complete it, so just sit down, relax. But I also knew that if I had any hope of catching up to my timeline, that I had to get something done. I had to start chipping away at things. So I sat myself down, and after about 40 minutes of just chaos, working on a bunch of random tiny little tasks, I finally got myself into a groove, and I completed the cover art for the podcast, which is still coming this month. I swear, it is, I think. And I finished it, and I like it. Here it is. Right? Came out pretty good. And all it took was just painfully, torturously forcing myself to do it. Telling myself, okay, now type out the text, make a shape. But eventually I got into the groove. And when I was done, I felt so much better, and I finally started to feel like this week I was getting Stella's groove back. And the last thing I'll say is don't wait. I have fallen into that trap before, but remember, this is not divine inspiration. This is hard work. Sometimes the solution is to relax, sometimes it's to sleep, sometimes it's to veg out, sometimes it's to go watch a movie, but it's calculated rest. Do not plant yourself in front of old episodes of The Office and wait for inspiration to hit again. It will not hit again. Thank you for watching, you beautiful people. Go subscribe to the channel, follow on social, let me know in the comments what you to get out of a creative rut, what you do to get out of a creative rut. I am always open to suggestions, because I mean, this one was actually relatively easy to shake myself out of, but some of them. And I will see you next week.